Do magnetic water softeners work? Somebody is interested in not using the salt-based softeners, the Culligan and those things, and being able to use magnetic. But as they look through the web, there's a lot of writing against it, saying that it's just pseudoscience and that it's all garbage. Very interesting, in the Wikipedia entry, at the top of it, it says, this article needs to be reworked for bias. And the article looks like it was written by Culligan, telling you that, oh no, this stuff is all useless. The reality is, the science of using magnetism to soften water or to stop the calcium from causing problems is a solid-based industry solution that's used in big industry all the time. Now, it's used with very big magnets and a lot of special controls to make it work. Basically what it does is with the magnetism of a magnet, it aligns or polarizes the molecules of calcium. So they're all pointing in the same direction, like little soldiers standing up. And when they're all pointing in the same direction, they can't combine to each other and form clumps and cluster and form, making a crust on the inside of the pipe, or clogging things in your faucet filters, or bother the soap in your dishwasher. That only works for about 72 hours. But 72 hours is usually enough time for all the water in your house to go through the system. So yes, if we can stimulate all of these molecules so that they will be agitated for 72 hours, you'll find your soap works better, you don't have hard water, and you don't have all the problems with hard water. We haven't taken the calcium out. We've just made it so it doesn't make clusters. So it does work. But let's take a little bit of a look at some of the problems with this and why there seems to be a bit. Here's one product that's on the market that's basically two magnets that are clamped on two sides of your copper water pipe. And I can guarantee you this will not work. It's too small. Once this whole idea has come out, all kinds of people jumped on with gadgets that you throw a magnet on the copper pipe and it's going to create miracles, and it doesn't. And that's why it was easy to get a bad name for it. And of course, the people who sell water softeners don't want you going to magnets and going away from buying the salt for the water softeners. There are some serious problems with water softeners outside of the salt in your own house. The salt goes through that system and goes downstream. There was one case in Calgary where they built an entire subdivision all at the same time, everyone with a water softener that was salt-based, and they killed the river. They actually had to legislate no more water softeners in that entire subdivision. It was fine when 2 or 3 people did it. When everybody did it, nothing worked anymore, and downstream was terrible. We had another interesting case in Sherbrooke, Quebec, with cows. They had water softeners to soften the water in an area that had a lot of calcium. And what they found out was that the butter and the milk all started tasting salty. And so it was good. There was nothing wrong with it. It just tasted salty. What they ended up doing, they put a magnetic system up front and still used some salt, but they used about 90% less salt. So by combining the two, they were able to get fantastic results without a big cost. And that's how they now deal with it for cows and milk. So in your house, if you have a fairly good system, it can actually go fairly far. Let's take a look at one that I've tested here. Let's start, first of all, this one. This is one that actually comes from Europe, from Norway, and I tested it out. In fact, I have one installed in another house, and this was the pair of it that came. This great big thing is the magnet. I think just by that, you can sense this is not a tiny little magnet that you stick on the line. Here's the base. The water comes through here, and this magnet is down in here, and the water has to flow up and through this whole mechanism. And if we take a look, let me see if I can get the camera in here real close. Now you can see the water's got to go through that little opening, and there's a screen back there to filter and protect everything. And then the magnet is all around the outside. That's this big piece. And so what it does do is slow down the water, because it has to slow it down to have time to have an effect, and it has to have a very strong, very large magnet to have an effect. These things will work, but they're not practical in a lot of uses. People complained that when the water slowed down, they just simply couldn't fill up the tub fast enough, or in some cases couldn't even get a good shower. So these things didn't really sell in North America. Electronic ones were invented, and there's good and less good ones. This one here, Clear Wave, I put it in and tested it for a while, and it did make a difference. Of the soap worked better, it felt better in the shower, and the clothes took less detergent, and you could actually get some suds. What it is a generator in here that's making a electromagnetic field through these wires. And this is like two magnets on the pipe here. So as the water comes through, this affects it. Now, is it a contact long enough to make it really work? It works in a mild case. Let me show you another one that I'm actually testing right now, much bigger. And this is the box itself, and then the wires run off elsewhere. And here's the wrapping across a whole section about 1.5 feet wide that is on the main entrance pipe of our house. And this one is working much, much better. It's a lot more powerful, and it's all grouped together, so it's really having an effect. As the water flows through here, it gets stimulated until it gets to the other side. None of these smaller gadgets are going to work as well as a full salt system, but they don't have the side effects of all that salt, and they don't have the cost of always buying more salt and replenishing and cleaning the whole system. So if you have a minor problem, this could likely do it. You could use this and salt, and you'll find you'll be using much less salt if you put a magnetic system in front of the salt ionizer. So yes, these things do work. And if you look down the bottom of the page, you'll see a link to a page on my website that basically says the same thing I just told you and gives you links to where you can go to see some of the stuff. Okay, so that little reference is very useful.